everyone. We are live. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live Chat. My name is Monica J, and I'm an early childhood development specialist and a child behavior specialist. I love hopping on here on Instagram and chatting with all of you every Tuesday. So welcome. If it's your first time joining, welcome. And if you're coming back for another round of Tuesday Night Live Chat, I am so happy to have you here. Hey, Raising Jackson. Oh my God, Raising Jackson, I love your page. How are you? Barbara, how are you? That's my mom, guys, for those of you who don't know. So what's up, Mom? Thanks so much for joining. Raising Jackson. I will definitely, oh, you sent a request to be in my live chat. Of course, of course, of course. Let some people hop on here and then I will absolutely include you in on the live chat. So please stick around. Please. Thank you so much. So I am so excited about tonight's live chat. This is a great topic. It's a great topic. If you were able to check out my post earlier today, it was all about perspective, your perspective or your true beliefs on child behavior. What do you really believe? What do you really think about child behavior, especially when it comes to the negative behaviors, the challenging behaviors, and those quote unquote bad behaviors that we see our children display? What are your real thoughts on that? Especially when these challenging behaviors arise, what do you already think going into it? Before you even approach the behavior, before you respond, react, whatever. What is your thought process? What is your mindset around child behavior? So that is the question that I pretty much posed earlier today on my Instagram post in my profile, because after having a conversation a couple of weeks ago at a conference for behavior management, about behavior management, I was talking to some other educators and some education leaders, and we were talking about perspective, and specifically we were actually talking about bias, and we were talking about our own biases when we're in classrooms or when we're working with students, and those biases definitely affect the way we respond to a child's behavior. It definitely does. Whether we admit it or not, it does affect that. And so I thought about perspective. What do you believe? Whether you're a parent, whether you're a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a teacher, what do you really believe about child behavior? It is so very important. And sometimes we really have to break it down and we have to think about these things going into just dealing with these challenging behaviors. Because the challenging behaviors, let me just say this, they will arise. They will arise, they will come. They're not going anywhere. That's just a part of growth and development. And it's something that if you're a parent, yes, you're gonna have to deal with, right? If you're a teacher, yes, you're gonna have to deal with that. These are things that are normal for children. They're going to sometimes not listen. They're going to sometimes be defiant. They're going to sometimes cause you to repeat yourself over and over again. Kind of like a broken record, right? It's the truth of the matter. It's the truth of the matter, and it's kind of what goes along with growth and development. Hey, let me say hi to some of you guys. Mina Bina, hey, how are you? I saw you on my profile earlier. Thank you so much for coming. I truly appreciate it. Boss Lady Designs, how are you? Cherie, 30 Mommy, what's up? 30 Mommy's in the house. So thank you guys so much for jumping on here. I know all of you have busy schedules. Some of you I already know are moms, and so I know your day is like always running around, always busy. So I do appreciate you taking time out to watch this live chat. And for those of you who catch this on the replay later on, thank you so much for catching it on the replay. Truly appreciate it. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on child behavior? If you would like, definitely share in the comment section. There's no pressure. You don't have to type in the comment section. You don't have to share your feedback. You don't have to ask questions. But if you are comfortable, definitely please do that here. And please know also that this community, the MJS community here, it's a no judgment community, non-judgment. And if anyone hops on here and is judging or tries to cast any type of shame on anyone, then we will kindly ask them to leave. So there's no judgment here. There's no judgment here. We are just here talking about real life childhood issues, the real deal things that you all go through with children in your lives. That's what we're here for. And I'm always happy to share whatever I know. And if I don't know something, I'm always willing to go research it because I love researching child behavior. It's just of interest to me. And I think it's so very important. One, because I used to be that child who was misunderstood. And so I have vowed to myself for the rest of my living days on this earth, to make sure that every child is understood, no matter what it takes. And so I think reaching all of you, the parents, the teachers, the extended family, and the lives of children is the best way to do that, to make sure that children are understood. Now, negative behavior, those bad behaviors that often happen, yes, that is when children can oftentimes be misunderstood. So you may hear the whining, you may hear the talking back, you may hear the stomping, the pouting, the whatever it is, right? You may hear all of these things that make you or your stress level go up here, whereas they're going through their own internal emotions inside, your children, they're going through their own internal emotions inside. And so that's where all of the whining and the pouting and the talking back and the stomping of the feet and, the defiance, that's where all of that comes from. And usually because they have no clue on how to communicate it, right? No clue on how to communicate it. Mina says, yes, thank you for doing this. Glad I came across your page. Thank you for being here. And you are welcome. Absolutely. 30 Mommy says children are out of their minds. Right? I know that is how you feel. I know that is how you feel. And hey, you're going to have those days where you feel like, seriously, I don't get my kid. I can't even deal right now. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with dealing with this behavior. I'm done with the not listening. I mean, I've been there. As a teacher, an educator, I've worked in classrooms. I still work in classrooms. But I also, some of you know that I work one-on-one with children. I go into homes and I also go into schools. And so that's what I do now. So I get to work really individually on behaviors, emotional upset, and all of those things that we talk about here. I get to work on those things individually with children. So yeah, I get to see the real deal. And sometimes you can think that this child is out of control. Like, I can't believe I'm even witnessing this right now, okay? So let's just say last week I had 2 chairs thrown at me again, and I was punched in the face. And I don't say it, it's funny now, I laugh about it now. However, it's serious because those children were going through something. Those children had no outlet, no way to express themselves. And that is definitely the extreme of bad behavior. That's definitely the extreme. However, there's still answers. There are still ways to deal with even that extreme. There are still ways. Yes, there are. And yes, even getting hit, bit, whatever, I can still maintain my calm in those situations. It has taken many years to do it, but it can be done, guys. It can be done. I was just talking to one of my girlfriends this evening, and we were talking about how I maintain my calm. How can I stay so calm when children are out of control and you just want to pull all your hair out and you're just done. You just want to walk out the house and be done with everybody. How do I maintain my calm? It's taken many years of practice, and because I'm human, sometimes I snap too. Sometimes I don't get it right. But the beautiful thing about this life we have, the beautiful thing is that you can try again tomorrow. You can try again in an hour. You can walk away, come back, try again in 5 minutes. You don't have to try to tackle everything at one time. You don't. But let's get back into your perspective and that post that I posted earlier today. And thank you, No Filter Moms, for joining. I love my daughter. How are you? Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's talk about that post. So I asked you guys in the video, the first thing I asked was, did you teach your child how to brush their teeth? Did you teach your child how to drink out of a cup? And did you teach your child how to, hey, say please and thank you? Did you teach your child those things? Were those things important to you? Did you automatically realize that, you know what, I have to teach this to them? Going to the bathroom, cleaning up after themselves, putting on their shoes, tying their shoes, riding a bike. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And you are constantly teaching your children something, constantly teaching them something, right? So I asked that because those bad behaviors, those negative behaviors that you see that arise, the challenges, the emotional upset, all of those things are things that you can actually give children skills to get through or to handle in a different way. So even with the defiance, even with the talking back, all of that screams to me that something's not right, there's a communication problem, or that the child is lacking some kind of skills that can help them to make better decisions or make better choices, right? So in order for the children to get these skills, all of these life skills we talked about, brushing teeth, drinking out of cups, these are life skills that they will use forever, right? In order for them to gain these life skills, they have to be taught. They have to be taught. And sometimes, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, sometimes we just automatically think that because you said it once, that they should just get it, right? Or because your child is 7 or 8 years old now, hey, you should know this by now. You're a big boy now. You're a big girl now. You should know these things by now. But you know what? Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes they need reminders. Sometimes they need new skills in order to get through that emotional upset or get through the challenge that they're experiencing, in that moment, right? Sometimes they need us to guide them and to give them new skills to add to their little toolbox. They just do. Raisin Jackson says, I have an 11-month-old trying to bite me right now. They start early. Truth. It's so true. It's so true. They do start early, and it's kind of like when I think about this all the time, and I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but sometimes I think about when I was in another country, like I was in France, like visiting Paris many, many years ago, and not being able to speak the language, it was so frustrating. And if I wasn't always with one of my friends who spoke French, it was so frustrating. I felt so out of place. And let me just say about Parisians, at least in my experience with Parisians, they are very proud people, and they want you to try to speak French. They want you to try to speak their language. But I wasn't able to communicate. I knew very, very, very little, and it was so difficult to communicate. And I was frustrated. So I was trying to do anything I could to try to, just being in a cafe, to try to express what I was trying to order. I was using my hands, I was pointing, doing all of the motions, like drink, I want coffee, and doing anything and everything to get my point across. So if you can think about children, especially our younger children, let's speak about our children under 5, especially those little ones, they are trying to communicate in whatever shape, form they see they can come up with, whatever they think is possible. Because if they don't have the language, then they're going to use their hands, they're going to use their mouth. And oftentimes the younger ones, they do use all of those sensories. They use the mouth a lot. They like to taste, touch, bite, all of that in order to communicate. And sometimes they have no clue what they're trying to communicate, but they know they need something, they want something. So they're gonna do whatever they need to do to try to get that point across. And so that's why it reminds me of me being in Paris, not being able to communicate because of the language barrier, and just being so frustrated. And so instead of giving up, because I really wanted some coffee or whatever I was ordering, because I'm just making the coffee up, I don't really remember what it was, but because I really wanted what I wanted, I was gonna figure out how to communicate or how to get these people to understand what I was saying. So I pointed all the gestures possible without having the actual language available, right? And so oftentimes these behaviors come from lack of communication or a lack of, especially for our older ones now, a lack of being able to regulate their emotions. So if you can come into it thinking about behavior as a form of communication and a way for you to understand your child a little deeper and to understand what they're lacking, what they need, and how you can help them and guide them, then you will not, or probably not, be as frustrated as you have been in the past when it comes to the negative behavior. Because when your child's on their best behavior, or you feel like they're doing good, they're listening, everything's great, they're doing everything that you've asked them to do, you're praising them, you're happy, you're so excited. But the minute they're not doing what you asked them to do, and yes, those negative behaviors arise, then we're just like, they don't listen, oh my goodness, I've talked to you so many times, what is your problem, right? And we go on and on and on, and we forget that, you know what, they have it in them to get it right. They really have it in them to get it right. But there's something that's missing. There's something they need. Maybe it's a new skill. Maybe they just need a little guidance, a little encouragement. They need to continue to practice these things. I don't care how old they are. They're going to continue to practice it. And think about how you currently regulate your own emotions. If you get a flat tire and you're on your way to work, if you drive, if you get a flat tire, you're on your way to work, or you're on your way to an event, and all of a sudden now you have a flat tire. And you've got to deal with that. You've got to deal with it. Either you got to deal with it or you got to pull over, park your car, get out, and figure out another means of transportation, right? But all in all, you have to deal with the challenging situation at hand. So you have the kids in the car, whoever's in the car, or people are waiting for you, maybe you're waiting, rushing to pick the kids up. But now here's a challenge that has arisen, and now you have to deal with it. How do you deal with that? How do you regulate your own emotions in that moment? What do you do? Because let's think about it. If your kids are in the back seat and they're watching and listening, they're watching everything you do to deal with a challenging situation. And so think about, how do you deal with your own challenging situations? What do you do to fix it, to problem solve, to get through it? What do you do? How do you handle that? That is so very important, right? Because your children are always watching. You're modeling the behavior. And oftentimes, although we may not know this, oftentimes they are watching us, and some of their behaviors are a reflection of some of our own behaviors. And that is just the truth. It really, really is. It really is. And sometimes, we don't intentionally yell or scream, or we're not trying to do it that way. We'd rather, be calm in the moment, but sometimes we're not. And they pick up on those things. And so they watch how you get through challenging situations. So when they have emotional upset, and when they're frustrated, and when they feel like there's a challenge, and whether that challenge is you're telling them to clean up or go to bed and they're totally not ready because they still feel like they didn't finish what they were doing, well, they're upset because they feel like they didn't finish what they were doing. They feel like, I was playing here, or I was building, or I was making something, or I was watching something, and now you just totally disrupted all of that and you're telling me to move on. And it's not that easy to always move on, right? It's not that easy. So just, if you can tweak or flip your perspective on child behavior just a tad bit and just be open to a new way of thinking, then I guarantee that it will change, but you have to be open to it, but it will change your response to the negative behavior, and it will change the outcome, and it will change the outcome. But tonight, honestly, I could talk about this on and on forever, all night, but I know you guys don't have the time. I know you don't have the time, but I really wanted to share 5 things that are true about child behavior, and specifically those bad behaviors or the bad decisions that our children are making. One thing is that, the first thing is that some of the bad choices that our children make in these challenging situations come from habit. Sometimes they form these habits, and some of them come from habit, and sometimes it's up to us to break the habit. So I have a student right now who, and I've talked about this student before. Oh gosh, excuse my nails. Child, look at the gel. Look at the gel. Just look at this. It's just a mess. But anyway, so excuse that. But I talk with my hands a lot, so you're just gonna have to see that until I peel all this gel off, okay? Sorry, but that's real life. But yeah, so I have a student right now that I'm working with, and one of his habits that he displays or chooses when he's frustrated and can't get his way, or he's frustrated because something's not working and he can't get it to work in that moment, he gets so frustrated that he just, he starts to scream. He does this whole screaming thing. And then if there's something in his direct presence right there next to him, he will take it and throw it. Because he's so frustrated. He does the whole fist and the gritting of the teeth. He's so frustrated, and then he just throws anything and everything. And he screams at the same time. And that's how he has chosen, or because he hasn't been given any other skill, that's the way he's been dealing with his frustrations and his challenges. That's the way he's been dealing with it. So now, over the last year or two, because mom says it's been happening for at least a year, over the last year, because he's doing this and he hasn't been given any other options, so he doesn't see any other ways to handle his frustration, that has now become a habit. It's become a habit. And so, unfortunately, and I don't agree with this at all, but I will tell you, unfortunately, he was expelled from his school. And I talked about this in a post a couple weeks ago on Instagram here. And it's heartbreaking. It really, really, truly is heartbreaking. At 4 years old, he was expelled from his school. And the main reason was behavior challenges, disruptive behavior, and the school could not handle his behavior. And this was actually a school for children with special needs. And so that was heartbreaking to me. However, that's a whole nother story. But he has this habit, and now he needs new skills. And so all of that anger, the frustration, the yelling, the screaming, and the throwing things when he's frustrated at 4 years old, well, it's time to break that habit. And so now I'm working with him at home, and we are working on new behavior skills, on new ways to deal with his frustration and anger. And although sometimes it seems like, oh, there's no progress, every little tiny bit counts. So every little change counts. So the fact that when I first started seeing him almost 4 weeks ago, that he would throw big chairs and he would run out of the room and just leave the area that we were working in totally, to now when he gets frustrated, he'll stay in the area and he may still grit and grind and ball up his fist, but he's able to breathe it out, calm down, and then sit back down, because sometimes he'll stand up, but he's able to sit back down and he's able to do it much quicker than he was doing it before. And that is called progress. That is called progress, and that lets you know that not only that child, but any child has it in them to change the behavior. And that goes into number 2. Number 2 is that behaviors can change. They can change. So even though you may think your child is displaying this horrible behavior that you think will never ever change and that you are just totally done with, just know in the back of your head that behaviors can change. They can do it. Don't give up. They can do it. They can absolutely do it. And number 3 is that the skills your children need to actually change these behaviors, they can be taught. And guess who the teacher is? You. You are the teacher. You are the teacher. You're teaching them already. You're teaching them, like I said, how to brush their teeth, how to ride their bike. You're teaching them all of these skills every single day. And so now, if you just think of good behaviors or choosing good or making good decisions and making choices that are positive over negative when challenges arise, if you think of all of those things as skills, just like teaching them how to brush their teeth, using a spoon or a fork, saying please and thank you, these are skills. You are giving them these skills. Because number 4 is children are not born with self-regulation skills. And that basically means children do not know how to just regulate these emotions automatically, because there are adults that don't even know how to regulate their emotion. And basically regulating your emotions means being able to calm yourself down in frustrating or challenging moments. Being able to stay calm or calm yourself down on your own. That's called self-regulation. And yep, adults don't even have it. We don't even have it down pat. Hey, I still have to work on self-regulation. We're all constantly working on self-regulation every single day. We'll never be perfect at it. It'll always be a constant a work in progress, always. We can always get better. We can always strengthen those skills. And so for any of us to believe that children are born with these skills and that they should know everything perfectly by the age of 7 or 8, it's false. It's a false reality, because as adults, we're still working on our self-regulation. Just like I asked you a minute ago or so, I asked you, how do you deal with your own challenging situations? So if you got a flat tire, or if something happened at work and someone got you upset, or someone did something to you that wasn't really nice and it was cruel or whatever, how do you deal with those emotions? How are you regulating your own emotions? Because what you do, your children are watching. Hey, Moonchild, I'm so sorry, guys. I was like ranting, talking. 1C Binshin, hey, how are you? A Natural Minded Mama, how are you? And Rule Living, thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. But yes, these are skills that can be taught. Absolutely can be taught. And number five I want to share is that, and this is the most real of all of them. I think this is the most honest. And we have to be honest here, is that teaching a new skill can be difficult sometimes. It can be difficult, but it can be done. And you must have patience and consistency, because the patience and consistency are key. The same way a child needs time and practice to learn how to brush their teeth properly, they need practice on regulating their emotions. The same way a child needs practice with writing their name over and over and over again until they get it, right? And sometimes it's even not up to your standards. It may never be up to your standards, but until they're able to do it with comfort, guess what? They need practice. Do you have children that, are in any type of sport or activity, or maybe play musical instruments? They need practice in order to get better, to strengthen those skills. So all of these things that we understand need practice, all of these things that we expect to need practice and time, it's the same with their behavior, regulating their emotions. It's the same thing. They need practice to use these skills. They need practice to get it right. So think of those challenging behavioral moments as an opportunity to teach them something new, an opportunity to give them a new skill, or to encourage them to try again. So what, they got it wrong? So what, they didn't get it right this time? All right, so what? Give them another opportunity to do it again. And now I'm not telling you to ignore negative behavior. I'm not telling you to do that. And I'm not telling you to brush off negative behavior or defiance or any of that, talking back. I'm not saying to brush it off and act like it didn't happen. No, absolutely not. But I am saying that sometimes the child needs another chance. They need to do it again. They need to figure out how to get it right. But you have to talk to them about it. Talk to them about what happened, what they did wrong, or what wasn't appropriate, and give them a new skill, or help them to come up with a new option, a new solution to use instead of what they did use, which you deemed as inappropriate, right? And especially the older your children are, the deeper the conversation can get, the more opportunities you can give them to figure out solutions on their own. So never am I saying to ignore what's happening, never ignore the behavior, but definitely come into it looking at it from a perspective of, if you can and if you're open to this, but looking at it as an opportunity to teach them a new skill, or to strengthen some skills, or to give them what they're lacking, to help them to communicate and to regulate the emotions that they're feeling within. So there you have it. There you have it for this evening. Hey Connie, how are you? Hey Tamika, how are you? What do you guys think about that? What do you think about opening up your mind? Just opening, because this is just the beginning. We're just tapping into this topic right now, tonight. Think about opening your mind to looking at behavior from a different lens. Now, I grew up in an era, because I'm getting up there in age, but I grew up in an era where, and a lot of me and my friends, we grew up in that era where your parents felt like children are to respect adults, you are to listen to adults, you are to not talk back, you are to not, defy or any of that. You just listen, you speak when you're told to speak, and that's it. Like, that's the era I grew up in, right? Although my mother was very, she was expressive, and she did take into account our feelings. I don't know if I so much expressed myself a lot as a child, but my mother was very calm and soft-spoken, but still respect was very important. Respect was very important. So sometimes when you come from a family, or you were raised in a way that, children's feelings weren't always validated, and you did what you were told, and if you didn't do that, then there were some consequences. There were some heavy consequences, right? And so our parents may have looked at child behavior in a totally different way, using a totally different lens. And that's okay, because if that didn't make you feel comfortable growing up, and you felt like, or even now as a parent, if you feel like, that's not the way or the route that I want to go, and I feel like there's a little more to it, and I want to validate my child's feelings. I want to know what they're feeling. I want them to know that their voice matters. Well, then it's okay to look at behavior, the negative behavior of a child. It's okay to look at it using a different lens. Look at it in a different way. Flipping your perspective just a little bit, just to understand where your child is coming from, what your child needs in the moment, and how you can help them in that moment. Because helping them is going to ultimately help you and help the whole family. Because if you are stressed every day from repeating yourself over and over and over for the same thing, well then guess what? Something has to change. Something has to change. And usually 9 times out of 10, as the adult, we're the ones who have to change it. We're gonna have to change it. So if I have a student in my class, and I have had that before, a student in my class who is constantly, knocking kids' toys over, throwing things, throwing toys, not listening to the teachers, and when you try to talk to the kid, they're running around the room, they want you to chase them. I've had that before. And I had to ultimately change something. I had to change the fact that I would always react to the behavior, the negative behavior, and that I would run around the room and chase the kid. Like, no, I had to change that. And I had to realize, one, you need to stay calm in the situation in order for you to gain or to maintain your sanity. That's one, because maintaining your sanity is important, but we talk about that here, but that's gonna be another topic another day. However, I had to realize that in order to stop this child's negative behavior from happening every single day and driving everyone in the class up the wall, something had to change, and it had to be me. It had to be me. I had to change my response to the behavior. I had to. I absolutely had to. And so there was no more entertaining the behavior. There was no more chasing the child around the room. I wasn't doing that anymore. I had to change that. And ultimately, the behavior did change, along with some other steps that I had to use. But I'm just saying that if you're constantly repeating yourself about the same things over and over, and you see that your child isn't making any progress, nothing's changing, your stress level's up here, well, then something has to change. Something has to give, right? Something has to give. And I know that you have 20 other things that you're challenged with and on your list of things to do. But if this one behavior is absolutely annoying you and you are had it up to here, something's got to change. And so now it's time to look at that behavior from a different lens, look at it a little deeper, and figure out how you can help your child to gain the skills they need to make the right decisions in these challenging moments, because clearly there's a challenge here. Clearly they're not getting something. They're missing something. Something's not right, and they need a new skill, or they need something. They need some help, right? And so always yelling at them is not always the answer, because it may scare them in the moment and they may stop in the moment, but you haven't figured out the problem. You have not solved the problem, and that problem will arise again. It will rear its ugly head again. So yep, you need to figure out what the real true problem is. Change a little bit, shift whatever response you've been given, shift that response, and help them out and give them the skills they need to get over that challenge, all right? So that you can move on and everybody can move on and your stress level can go down, okay? I love that example. Chasing the kid around the room is so relatable. Child, yes, it is. Yes, and it's so real. So real. I don't know what it is, but kids love to run away from you. And especially when they know that you are frustrated or mad and they've got you like, it's almost like they know that you're riled up and they've got you. They've got you once you're riled up. It's like they've got you. You've lost your calm. So we must maintain our state of calm, guys. We must maintain our state of calm. We have to. Thank you guys for those hearts. But yeah. It's real. The challenge is real, and it definitely takes patience and consistency. It does. And so that's why it's so very important that we have communities like this, that we can come on here and share or just listen. Even if you don't want to share and you just want to listen, it's okay. Because the bottom line is that it's not easy. Raising children, if you're a parent here, raising children is not easy. And I give you all of the awards, all of the kudos for being able to do that. And if you're a teacher joining, then I also want you to know teaching is not easy. And maintaining a class that listens the whole time is not easy. Managing all of those behaviors is not easy, because child behavior is not easy. They are in a stage of growth and development, especially our children under 10 years of age. They are constantly growing and developing. They're changing constantly. So when you get over one hurdle, yep, there's another hurdle about to come. There's another one about to come, because they are maturing, they are growing, they are developing. And so all of these challenges and emotions are going to keep coming up, and they have to keep figuring out, how do I deal with this now? Oh my goodness, I have all these big emotions, all these big feelings. I'm feeling all kinds of ways, and they have no idea what it is. And so they need us to guide them. They need us to guide them. But just know that any behavior can change. It's not set in stone. So because you've repeated yourself 100 times about the same thing, it can change. It can change. Just have patience, be consistent, and don't give up. And don't give up. You're not alone. You are not alone. We're all out here pushing through the struggle. Pushing through the struggle, whether you're a parent, teacher, grandparent, aunt, whatever. If you have children in your life, you're pushing through that struggle. One day at a time, and try to enjoy the good times, the beautiful moments, and praise them when they're doing it good too. Praise them when they're doing something good too, right? So guys, hey, Morgan Mangana. I think I said that right. How are you? And Fatty at Heart, how are you? And Viva la Mami, I love it. How are you? Connie, thank you guys for those thumbs up. I appreciate it. So does anyone have any questions? Any questions, let me know. Or I did have some of you before on the last chat and then earlier today that wanted to hop in on the chat and requested to be a part of this chat. You can request it now if you want. I'm like dying to try that feature out. I tried it a couple times. It didn't work because someone's phone died, and then the other person, there was like a language barrier, but we've been trying to get it. Thanks for those hearts, guys. So if you want to jump in here on this live chat, you can request to be in my live. And the way you do that is you click down below. Down below, you will see there are like two smiley faces. They look like they're linked. You can tap that, and that's how you request to be in this live if you want. No pressure, you don't have to. Thank you for those hearts, because I could just sit here and take hearts all night. Thank you, because I love color, as you can see. So all those colorful hearts are like just giving me life, giving me energy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just hope that you will continue to join me on my Tuesday night live chats every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you all join the MJS community. And the way you do that is you just go to my profile, click the link in my profile, and just tap on MJS community, or MJS Insiders specifically, I'm sorry, MJS Insiders. Yes, make sure you do that. I would love for you to join the community. I send out emails every week, valuable information. I'm not going to spam you. I do not spam you. I promise you that. But I love to send information that is helpful, things that I've learned. Maybe I've gone to a conference or I learned something new, and I share it with all of you. And I also get some of you that reply back, and you email me back, and we have conversation. You tell me about what's going on in your life. I get it. It's real. So share, share, share. And I understand if you feel like sometimes you're afraid to share in an open public community. That is quite all right. I totally get it. If you feel like you have something a little more private or something a little more specific that you want to ask and you would like a little guidance on, I am here for that. I have a free 15-minute discovery call, and you can sign up for that. And all you have to do, again, is just go to the link in my bio, and you'll see where it says discovery call, and you can sign up for that. I have a free discovery call, 15 minutes, and we can chat about whatever's on your mind. And if you need a little bit of guidance, I'm here for you. Specifically for children under 10. I definitely deal with the younger children. And I have been doing early childhood special education for over 17 years in New York City. And so I know a little thing or two about children and their behaviors and development. And I'm an open book. I'm an open book and always willing to share and help when I can. And if I can't, I will try to guide you in the right direction. Okay? So thank you guys so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. Again, absolutely appreciate it. And I'll see you here next week, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, follow me on stories, follow my Instagram posts, and if there's anything on your mind, drop me a DM. Mina says, this was phenomenal. It definitely gave me a new perspective. Thank you, Mina. Thank you for that feedback. That is always so helpful. Thank you so much. And I'm happy that I was able to offer you some value. Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome Tuesday night, and now you can go back to the news and check out those votes coming in and see who's winning in your local communities, all right, and in your state. So thanks, guys. Have a great, great night. See you later.